Well, I got in jail. With my mouth poked out. Well, now I'm in the pen. And I can't get out. Ain't no gone. Ain't no gone. Ain't no gone. Well, it's 2-3 minutes. Let me catch my wind. Oh, no, John. He's long gone. He's long gone.
Welcome to the Louisiana State Penitentiary, or better known to most as Angola Prison. The S3 race team has traveled to the banks of the Mississippi River in South Louisiana to compete in the statewide cross-country series, the LACC.
This cross-country race in particular is a really cool race. It's a unique race, and it's surreal to go through those gates of the prison because you realize we're coming in here to race.
Racers from all over the South have made the trip to the largest maximum security prison in the United States in hopes to be victorious in an all-out hour-long dash through Angola Prison's 18,000 acres of farmland and floodplains.
Pull in here thinking, man, we're going to be right next to the prisoners, but they're probably 5 miles that way.
For S3 Racing, this is a homecoming of sorts. Cross-country UTV racing in the South is how the team has made their name and is what spawned their run at the Best in the Desert race series.
This is what we build all week for to do on the weekends, is to come out to this type of racing, man. What we grew up doing, so.
Like all competitors, the S3 race team has packed in everything they need to camp and then race on the Angola Penitentiary prison grounds.
Pack parts, all our gear and all the bikes, so get down there, we gotta pull everything out. Because we're gonna sleep in here tonight. Come tomorrow, we'll have to do the same thing in reverse. Load everything back up. Beautiful night, beautiful weather. Get to go racing tomorrow.
Man, the atmosphere at LACC is totally different than any other series because we don't have any pressure. And the bottom line is we do this for fun.
While competing in the Best in the Desert race series, the S3 race team has shown that they can push their Can-Am Maverick turbos hard enough to be competitive in the brutal and unforgiving desert. Even with the stress of all the travel and a skeleton pit crew, Dustin and Shane managed to win the Great American Off-Road Race, the Mint 400.
Come on!
Cross-country racing, on the other hand, is an opportunity for the team to relax and just have fun.
Racing's kind of the reason we all get here, but the real reason is just to hang out and have a good time.
Not only are the races close to home, it also allows the guys to bring family and friends for some added support.
Most of these girls, they have all normal jobs and they work for a living, so they can't just cut loose and go to the desert races with us. But like when we do our local races, when we get to come hang out and bring our families, hang out together, all the girls come.
You know, just having all your friends and family, they're not going there to race. They're just going there to hang out with you and have fun with you and watch you.
It's very important that you have that support system that keeps everything else going. So it's always important for them to come with us. It's nice to have them here with us.
Cross-country racing in the South is what desert racing is to the West Coast, with the main difference being cross-country racing as a sprint rather than a marathon. Drivers make an all-out hour-long dash as fast as possible in hopes to put down the fastest times and the most laps.
One big thing about LACC racing that's surprising is I feel like we have some of the fastest guys in the country in this small, fairly unknown series.
You know, there's some talent there.
The S3 race team will have side-by-sides in all 3 UTV classes. They are hoping to bring home as many podiums as they possibly can.
Some good competition, and it's here local. I mean, it's here inside Louisiana.
Last year, Dustin came in first place in the advanced class, and he hopes to repeat this year.
It's always important for S3 to make a showing. We work hard to get our cars ready. We take it very seriously.
Having a good showing at Angola Prison is important to Dustin for more than just one reason.
My grandpa, which is one of my heroes, he actually, early in life, spent several years in Angola Prison.
Angola State Penitentiary is known to be one of the hardest and roughest prisons in the United States, especially in the 1950s when it earned the nickname the bloodiest prison in America.
He went from being a hardened criminal in one of the worst prisons in the United States during the 50s when it was the worst prison in the United States. He spent years in Angola.
After paying his debt to society, Dustin's grandfather, Buddy Jones, moved on in his life as a changed man.
Amidst all this craziness of racing and traveling, bought a house the day before we left to go to the first Best in the Desert race. And so I'd only seen it one time, before the closing. So now we're gonna pull in here and check out my new house that I bought.
Dustin's grandfather taught him the value of hard work and how to steer clear of anything that will keep him from succeeding.
It's where I came from, and that's where kind of our family, our Jones family, starts, is at my grandpa. It smells nice and clean, so it's almost still new to me. I've only seen it 1 or 2 times before now, so. Growing up, my grandpa always told me stories of him being in prison, of more or less a hardened criminal. That's not how I ever knew him. I knew him as a good Christian man that raised my dad well, and in turn, my dad raised me well, and instilled work ethic in us. I have to figure out what all the light switches do and where they're all at. Very frugal with my money, and I save very well, and I've been saving up for a long time to be able to buy a house and put a big down payment on a house and all that. I'm excited. Since my grandpa passed, it takes me back. It makes me have a new appreciation for the life that I have and how I was raised. I'll be coming home to this big empty house with just me and Dixie, so it'll be just us. It'll take some getting used to. Went up to the game room? You're so lazy. I gotta find some time to move some stuff in and decorate my house and all those things that normal people do, I guess. Just don't have that lifestyle. Running and gunning and traveling and racing and working and building, and I don't think everybody's cut out for this. I don't know how I'm gonna do it all, but I gotta prioritize and make time for it. That and the business and racing. So it's there's a lot going on. Dixie, come on. Time to go back to work. Come on.
Like the rest of the team, Dustin has put UTV racing first in his life, even before moving into his new and first house.
It's draining to race this away and live this lifestyle, and it takes away from your personal life, and you sacrifice a lot of things.
Whether the team races best in the desert or the more local Louisiana cross-country series, the S3 race team knows that they need to place well in both series to stay on the upward swing of the incredibly fast-growing sport of side-by-side racing.
I just gave it to Quentin, that wrench. You got it? My shift out will go up to where it needs to be, around 81, 82, and then as soon as it tried to get up in the power range, like up in the mile per hour, it did like 7,300.
It's race day in Angola Prison, and after a short 30-minute race practice, the guys have found an array of problems with their newly built cross-country Can-Am Maverick turbos.
Me and I just assembled this bike 2 nights ago, and I hadn't even got to drive it. As soon as I got out of the gate, I hit a roller, a wide open throttle, and the axle bar, I'd only put it in about a ½ inch into the CV, and it broke the end of the axle.
After building 2 Can-Am Maverick turbos to race in the Best in the Desert series, the team has had a limited time to dedicate to building and tuning their cross-country bikes.
My car is brand new. It had 4 miles on it before I showed up out here. Hurt the belt when I first took off. Came back to the pit. And I look around. I'm not the only one with issues. There's bikes. I think every one of them's tore apart at the moment. So I feel pretty good. I just had a belt.
Fortunately for the S3 race team, they have 3 hours between practice and the actual race to fix their Can-Am Maverick turbos and to make last-minute adjustments.
If your stuff's done on your car, you work on the next guy's car. We make sure all our stuff is prepped and ready to go.
The side-by-side UTV race doesn't start until the end of the long, hot day, after all the classes of dirt bikes and ATVs finish their races.
They'll have a family show up. There'll be a 6-year-old riding. The rest of the kids ride. Mom rides. Dad rides. And a lot of times, Granddad is out there riding.
Each race is a 1-hour sprint through Angola's hay pastures and then into the scenic Tunica Hills.
Angola Penitentiary has been voted the best venue for the last couple of years in a row.
In order to place well in the race, competitors hope to leave the land rush style start in the front of the pack to avoid driving into a wall of dust.
The last week of it being dry, 90 degrees outside every day, It was dusty, dusty, dusty.
To win the race would be a great confidence boost, especially in front of friends and family who have made the trip to South Louisiana.
Very important to me that I do well at this race because this is one of the few races that my parents, my grandma, my uncle and aunts, and my nephew were able to make it to. So there was some added pressure to me that I put on myself to do well because they were there.
It is kind of different being here and doing the cross-country racing compared to the desert. You kind of hang out and get to visit, which is great because you get more quality time with everybody, which you don't get to basically in the desert per se. It's constant go, go, go.
The Louisiana Cross Country Series has grown big enough in the last 3 years to offer multiple classes of side-by-side racing. One option for competitors is to race in the A or B class.
I'm gonna give these B class guys a handful. I think the only guy I'm really worried about is Mr. Mouse, so he's got a really fast bike. So.
The A class is for the racers who have more experience racing cross country, while the B class is just as competitive, but with racers who still are getting their feet wet in cross country racing.
Cross country is every turn's matted to the floor, and last year I was so tense I'd have to remind myself to relax.
Dustin and Shane are racing in the A class, which is first in line for the land rush style start.
There's a long stretch we can get running fast. Hopefully one of us can pull a whole shot and run up front. So as long as we can get one of us out front, it'll be good. Whoever gets up front is going to probably check out because the dust is so bad.
In desert racing, competitors line up in pairs and are released from the start line in 30-second intervals. In cross-country racing, on the other hand, every competitor in the class has the opportunity for the whole shot and in turn be able to race in front of the cloud of dust.
We had high hopes for this race because the first time we could kind of back up and go to our grassroots racing, go back to where we came from.
At the start, Dustin and Shane are at opposite ends of the line.
It's a split start, and so half the field's on one side, the other half's on the other side. Runs down straightaway, you cut around some hay bales, and then you merge back together into your first turn.
In order to get the whole shot, they have to try to gain as much speed and create as much distance as possible from the pack.
When we're coming up on the other end where we go to merge, I can see him to my left side.
And so we were running 65 or 70 by the time we hit the first corner. I mean, it's who's going to hold it the longest.
He ended up just edging me out on the first turn.
With Dustin getting the whole shot and Shane racing in second, the S3 race team and their Can-Am Maverick Turbos are off to a great start.
He and I got first and second on that whole shot, and when we hit that open field, we checked out. Those bikes were rolling.
I've always drove. You know, I've never been a co-pilot. I had to adapt to be a co-pilot. So it's natural for me to get back behind the wheel.
While Dustin and Shane try to create some distance on the field, the B class is lined up at the starting line and ready to go.
Raised the flag, stomped it to the floor, and of course everybody gets in front of you a little bit. All of a sudden they started disappearing, and that first one to the turn was kind of no man's land.
Mr. Mal gets his first ever cross-country racing hole shot.
You know, that's the deal. If you're following somebody in the lead, you know what pace they're setting. So if you're out front, you got to set the pace.
Meanwhile, Dustin and Shane have made it to the Tunica Hills section of the track, and they are still in first and second place.
When you get in that position, you don't let off. You can't sleep for a second because these guys are too fast to make a mistake around.
Aggressively controlled. You have to be aggressive. You're a lot more aggressive than desert racing by far, or you won't be competitive. Them guys will pass you if they're too fast.
In order to stay in the lead, Dustin needs to keep his speed up while trying to dodge obstacles such as 20-year-old oak trees.
The woods can get you. If you try to drive 100% in the woods, it will bite you.
Without a GPS or co-pilot, and with only a 30-minute practice before the race, navigating through the Tunica Hills at a fast pace could be detrimental to finishing the race.
In all the last races of this season, I've been racing with a co-pilot, with Shane telling me, hey, you got to turn here. Hey, you've got a sharp right coming up in 500 foot. That's what I'm used to driving. And in those conditions, I don't have to think at all. I literally do what I'm told. I steer the steering wheel and I hit the gas pedal.
Me and Dustin, neither one of us ever drive 100%. You drive 100%, you leave yourself no margins for error. So if you do make a mistake, you're done.
You're by yourself. You're in dead silence. You have to make your own judgment calls. You have to determine the speed that you're taking. And so you have to do it the old-fashioned way, man. It's you against the masses.
While Dustin and Shane try to keep a fast pace through the course, Mr. Mal, leading the B class in his Can-Am Maverick Turbo, is entering the woods section, followed closely by fellow S3 racing teammate Dustin Henderson.
Oh, the dust was terrible. It's like racing in the desert, man.
Despite the dust, Mr. Mal is keeping a fast pace through the woods, but then everything starts to unravel.
We were going down the trail like this, and there was a little berm.
All I know is he hit a tree with this side, spun this way,
Did a 360 this way.
flipped over, come around.
And ended up standing vertical against a tree, standing up in the middle of the woods.
And so I was sitting crossways across the trail. I could see back down the track.
All that being said, Mr. Mal was out of the race.
Passenger side rear wheel is completely ripped off of it. A-arms are bent up.
Fortunately, Mr. Mal suffered no injuries and was able to limp his car back to the pits.
Blew a tire and broke some stuff, but having a great time.
You have all that power in them tight areas. You've got to, it'll get away from you quick.
Unfortunately for us, though, there used to be a camera mounted on the roll cage that captured the event. The problem is that the camera was mounted at the exact spot of impact.
Yeah, we got to go find the camera. It apparently impacted the tree right where the camera was.
And the camera hasn't been seen since. Now property of the Tunica Hills in Angola Prison. As the race continues, Dustin is still putting down the fastest lap times in A-class, with Shane still following in a close second. If Dustin is to win the race, he needs to stay focused, but more importantly, stay fast.
We put so much pressure on ourselves to do well with brand new cars, first time to race them, and we wanted to go out and make a showing, and that's exactly what we did.
Dustin is racing a near flawless cross-country race. Collectively, the S3 race team is looking to have multiple podiums in both classes.
S3 as a whole, as a team, and we did amazing. We had a freaking amazing weekend.
To be able to have a good showing in front of the hometown crowd is important to the entire S3 race team. Everyone in the S3 family knows just how much time is spent pursuing the racing dream.
It's what I live and breathe. Our weekends that we do have free, we choose to race.
You know, you want to do well. At my age, you get to get out there and have the thrill of doing some racing and mixing it up a little bit.
My relaxing weekend is a race. Whenever I'm in that car driving, my mind is on nothing except what's right in front of me and going as fast as I possibly can.
It gets in your blood, and if you truly have the passion for it, you're willing to sacrifice just about anything to keep doing it.
So it's crazy and it's draining to live this lifestyle, but it is our getaway. That is our vacation, to be on the track running wide open throttle. So that's what we do it for, and that's what we sacrifice for.
B-class, Dustin Henderson, and Logan was in second.
After a full hour of all-out racing, Dustin crosses the finish line in his Can-Am Maverick Turbo and wins his first cross-country race of the season. The S3 race team caps off a great day of racing with 4 top 3 finishes. So Dustin decides to do a little celebrating.
Last year, I got the whole shot. I led every single lap. I put down the fastest lap time, and I won at Angola. This year, it was the exact same. I got the whole shot. I led the entire race. I won the race, and I put down the fastest lap of the weekend. And I don't think that's coincidence that happened at this venue. That means so much to me. I feel like my grandpa was watching over me, and he wanted me to do good.
What do you think? Congratulations.
You won it. It was emotional. My nephew, I'm his hero, and I have no clue why. He wanted me to do so good. He told me how many times he wanted me to get first place.
You know, left-handers, the car would tilt up. That was awesome. Very special race for us. Whole family, including Grandma, Mom and Dad, cousins, uncles, aunts, all here to see this, and we're very excited for him.
So it meant something to me that I get first place for him. Thank you, everybody.
You did?
And we did well. I not only did good, but our whole team did. So it was a fun experience.
Job, bud.
Man, how'd you do?
I think third.
Good job, man. One of those weekends you won't forget.
We're going to start off with UTV-A. First place was Dustin Jones, also the whole shot. Second place, Shane Dow.
It was fun. We had a good time. I love this type of racing. There ain't no pressure. Just come out and run as hard as you can. Ain't near the pressure of desert racing.
First, got to thank Ryan and these guys for putting on such a good event, man. I know it's a lot of work. Hot out here. They got this track ready. They pushed it back so we could still do this event. So thank you to you guys for working so hard to get it ready. I don't guess I've really thought about what I'm trying to accomplish out of this. I don't care about the glory. I don't do it for no fame. I do it because I love it. I do it because this is who I am.
Second place, Dustin Henderson. Third place, Logan Brezina.
So it's fun. You know, that's what it's about. If you're not having fun racing, go do something else.
Thank everybody for coming, y'all. This was also a record crowd for the UTVs.
Not really trying to accomplish anything, one specific thing. I just enjoy it. It's what I live and breathe.
Whenever I see somebody like Mr. Mal that's in his 50s and he's always been into motors and always been into racing, and I think that I want to be that guy whenever I get that age. I still want to be racing. I still want to be doing what I love to do.
You know, I got in my blood early when I was young. Once that bug bites you, it never goes away. There's always that little bit of a pull.
And this is crawfish bowl time. This is celebrating after the race. This is our Sunday ritual. We get together for the race team.
Back in Shreveport, the S3 race team has started a cross-country ritual which involves some fun, the sun, and a little southern delicacy.
Go buy, 60 pounds of live crawfish. We come over here to Shane's house, cook the crawfish, swim, and this is our summertime.
Over the last 6 months, the team has been burning the candle at both ends. Now they are taking the opportunity to enjoy all they have accomplished.
Hey guys, Bill. How are y'all?
Great, how are you?
Homemade ice cream?
It is a big family. It's a tight-knit family.
Is it tough to make or not really? It's been so long since watching Papa do it, but I remember watching him thinking, how do you remember all that stuff to make that happen?
If you're part of our group, I mean, we'll do anything to help you out.
I'm gonna leave the top barely attached.
Great.
So it's a flooded crawfish pot? Man, we need to cook crawfish.
Shane said, I don't know about y'all, but when we get back in town, we're cooking crawfish Sunday. I'm gonna keep doing it.
To be honest with you, our family sacrifice more than we do. Slade's not quite to the age where I want to bring them out in the heat, 90-degree heat, all day long. It's not hard. It's you have to pick what you want to do.
Crawfish are a job to get cooked, man, but when it's done, it's eating time. It's a feeding frenzy over there. We do this because we love it, because this is our livelihood. This is what we like doing. This is our hobby that we spend our money on.
I was lost yesterday racing. I was like, what do I do? When do I turn?
Shane, you look down for a GPS?
No.
It's a little different, someone not telling you what's coming through the dust.
Does your mind wander when you're racing, Mr. Mel?
No, I'm just trying not to kill myself. That's sheer terror.
Yesterday I started thinking about all kinds of stupid
I was thinking about the crawfish bowl today while I was racing and almost hit a tree, and I was like, crap.
Why do I race? You know, that's one of those things, like one of those things in life. It fulfills a need I have.
Hey, we got another rear right total suspension somewhere, don't we?
Yeah. Your stuff hurt or just that fifth
Oh
brake?
yeah, I've bent it all the snot.
Was it?
Yeah. Going too fast and ran out of talent.
That happens to me sometimes too.
Yeah.
Just to see how good you still are.
Good boy.
You still have it.
Racing's not just going to end for me. This is not a trend that I'm doing. This is not something I'm doing for a short time. This is who I am. This is what I love. And that's what racing is to me.